This is Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace. It's 21.5 centimeters longer than the ordinary Tiguan. It's got almost 11 centimeters longer wheelbase, and the boot volume is up to 760 liters, as long as there is no third row of seats, which this test car has. With the third row of seats, boot volume in 5-seat configuration falls to 700 liters, which is still 85 liters more than in the ordinary Tiguan. Unfold seats in the third row and you're left with 230 liters, which is fine for some small shopping. This is about twice as much as realistically fits behind the third row of seats in a Land Rover Discovery. But there is a but. Land Rover Discovery has more space in the third row. In Tiguan Allspace, the third row is really good for kids, preferably shorter than 160 centimeters, and I'm not talking about my winter hat, because even without it, it's a bit of a problem to sit up straight here. And the kids here should be short also for another reason, so that adults in the second row have some legroom, just tiny, itty-bitty bit of legroom. On the plus side, the floor is kind of flat, making it easier to keep tidy. Now let's crawl out of here. Perfectly good, perfectly good. Second row seats slide, so you can try and find some sort of a configuration where everyone is not very uncomfortable. However, if you're tall and so are your children, or they will be after next summer, long wheelbase Tiguan may not be the car for you. Anyway, Volkswagen seems to be aware of this car's shortcomings, which is why it also mentions young, dynamic people who like to surf, snowboard and stuff. Fold the front passenger seat and you can carry items well over 2 meters long. Let's go back to the boot for a minute. On the plus side, the boot cover fits under the floor. There is a 12-volt socket, a torch and handles to fold the rear seats. On the minus side, there is only one shopping bag hook. Removing the boot cover is a bit fiddly, and the underfloor storage cover seems a bit cheap. And even though you can start folding seats from the back here, in the end you'll have to walk up to the second row and push them to be completely flat. Here's a neat and simple feature. How many times did you have your hands full of shopping, like me here for example, and now all you can do is sort of balance yourself on one leg and hope to close the tailgate by kicking it under the bumper. Now, if it's slippery, like today because it's snowy, you're gonna fall and you're never gonna reach the boot lid closing button. So, what you can do, there are two buttons here. One is for regular shutting of the tailgate and the other one is for automatic shutting of the tailgate. So you press this one and now I've got 20 seconds to take all this stuff and get the hell out of here. See ya. Volkswagen claims from the front Tiguan Allspace looks a bit like its bigger brother Atlas, which is available on the US market. Apparently it has to do with the shape of the bonnet and the grille. It took me a while to tell this apart from the ordinary Tiguan. I guess Allspace does have a bit more massive front. From the side, Volkswagen tried to keep good proportions, changing the angle of the window frame on the C-pillar. At first glance, you can't really tell Allspace is much longer than the ordinary Tiguan. Also in the cockpit, not much has changed, there is plenty of storage, everything is well laid out, just like in a Volkswagen. You'll see the difference in standard spec though. Tiguan Allspace comes as standard with a 6.5-inch composition color radio with 8 speakers and an SD card reader. There is adaptive cruise control which works up to 210 km/h, lane assist, yes, the one which will correct you if you cut corners. I guess nobody's going to complain about a decent infotainment system or adaptive cruise control. It takes a lot of stress off you in everyday driving when you don't have to worry about the guy in front who's slowing down, accelerating all the time. It's just a good system. As far as lane assist is concerned, if you want to drive enthusiastically, I suggest you turn it off, but under normal circumstances, it's there to help you. After all, this is a family car, so you may be distracted by kids. And should something unexpected happen, you can always call for help using CarNet Security and Service. There are a couple of, actually 3 buttons up here to get information, to get assistance, and to get service and all that sort of stuff. There's also an app which gives you access to your car information, car location, that kind of stuff. CarNet also gives you access to online traffic information, fuel prices, weather. You'll get used to it pretty quickly. Tiguan Allspace is made in Mexico, which is why at the start the base engine is still a 150 horsepower 1.4 TSI, not a 1.5. Skoda Kodiaq also comes with a 1.4 125 horsepower motor, which is why it seems much cheaper. A 1.4 TSI 150 horsepower version is marginally cheaper than the Tiguan, but it comes with all-wheel drive as standard. Depending on the engine variant, Tiguan Allspace is available with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, manual or DSG. The more powerful versions come with 4Motion, all-wheel drive and DSG. This test car is powered by top-of-the-line 240 horsepower diesel, which unsurprisingly has a lot of grunt, even in eco mode. For a 1900 kilogram SUV, it does pretty well in the corners as well, and it can tow up to 2,400 kilograms. Volkswagen claims with this engine, fuel consumption should be around 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers combined. After 2 days of filming in the mountains, I can't give you a realistic figure, but I wouldn't expect anything below 8 liters combined. We often hear that all-wheel drive in crossovers is mainly about on-road safety and improved dynamics. On these snowy mountain roads, I did manage to get the car sideways once, which has no objective value, but subjectively, it makes Tiguan Allspace much cooler, doesn't it? I guess it's the additional 21 centimeters. For those interested in buying this sort of a car, I also decided to try some light off-roading. Of course, I did it without any preparation, like a typical SUV owner, not a proper off-road fanatic. As you can see, Tiguan Allspace got through some snow and mud trails, even though I dragged a branch for a couple of 100 meters. But this time I didn't break anything, unlike in the ordinary Tiguan. What is a departure angle? Departure angle is the angle between the rear wheels and the rear bumper. It's the angle that is important when the car descends some sort of an incline, like off-road. And in case of the Tiguan, the new Tiguan, its departure angle is about 16 degrees. Is it a lot? Apparently not. Sorry, Volkswagen. Back to the additional 21 centimeters in length of the car. On higher trim models, you can get an optional 360 camera with a backup camera, and it's well worth it. A longer car is a bit more tricky to maneuver. Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace prices start just below 30,000 euro, but I expect not many cars will be sold below 40 grand. This test car with extras gets dangerously close to 60,000 euro. In my opinion, Tiguan Allspace is a better proposition for people who need a crossover with 5 places and a bigger boot, but not necessarily for those who need 7 seats. Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace is neither a cheap car nor it is an ideal 7-seater. On the other hand, it is much better designed than, for example, Peugeot 5008. And would you prefer a 7-seater minivan or a crossover? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. New reviews every Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.